Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Julie explains that there's only a handful of permanent residents on the island. Sounds good to me, let's head to the island. The gang find the village vacant. Everyone splits up in hopes of finding just one person. Carol and Alan make it to the general store, also vacant, with the telegram machine busted. They run and barricade themselves in the attic. Klaus walks away, seemingly giving up. Psych, you all thought. Welcome back everyone to our second video of the spooky season. Today we're going to be having another entry in the Disturbed Discovery series. Today we'll be looking at Joe D'Amato's 1980 video nasty cult classic, Antropophagous, which tells the story of Julie on her way to babysit her employer's blind kid, tagging along with a group who's going to the same direction. But with the island town empty and abandoned, questions begin to arise. Just exactly what happened on the island. Before we begin, I want to quickly drop some knowledge on what exactly a video nasty is. Video nasties is a term that was mostly used in Great Britain in the 80s and 90s to describe a movie that was violent, sexual, or explicit. Parliament would go on to pass legislation in 1984 banning the selling and production of these films, citing it promotes an immoral lifestyle. However, in proper government fashion, they strictly or loosely enforced the code. This wasn't just in Great Britain, however. They were slamming down against violence and sexuality all over the world. In the mid to late 80s, Germany also began to enforce a code originally meant to censor fascist ideology. Soon it became the enforcing code for everything and anything the government did not agree with. Sound familiar to you guys? We also had something similar here in the States in the 80s, which was the Satanic Panic. But to hilariously sum it up, if you even looked at a crucifix or a picture of JC a certain way, crazy evangelicals would call you a Satan worshipper. Obviously, I'm leaving out a lot of details, like court hearings, protests, and art that reflected the times. If you guys want me to go ahead and cover the Satanic Panic and the movies and art that came out throughout the time, let me know. Now with the intro out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into today's presentation. The movie begins with a couple walking through a beautiful white stone village on their way to the beach. The girlfriend spots a boat adrift out in the ocean. She swims to investigate. Meanwhile, the boyfriend stays ashore blasting that techno. We get this shot from below the water as the girlfriend swims towards the boat. Feels kind of like it was ripped out of Jaws. And in true Jaws fashion, she's dragged down and killed. The killer arrives on shore, who makes light work of the boyfriend. On a cable car ride, we're introduced to the gang. Our main protagonist, Julie, played by Tisa Farrow, who asks the gang if she can join them, exclaiming she just needs a lift. Looks like nobody has anything against her joining.
Hell yeah.
Their buddy Alan pulls up in the orange sunshine Volkswagen. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and introduce the rest of the group by name.
Characters. How are you, Dan? Good to see you. Maggie. Hey, Ernie.
Hi, Al. Good to meet Julie.
Hi, Julie.
They go ahead and plan out their travel. Dan brings up how it's strange that none of the tourist boats travel in and out of the island. Julie explains that there's only a handful of permanent residents on the island. Sounds good to me, let's head to the island. Once on the boat, poor Maggie is seasick. Dan is over here trying to lay game on Julie right in front of his main squeeze. But Julie's a smart cookie and she leaves to talk to Alan. Alan tells us that he's siblings with Carol. So you're telling me your best bud Dan over here, who's dating your sister, just tried flirting with another woman and you're just cool with that? Italians are built different, I guess. Later on, Carol reads Maggie's unborn baby's fortune. Carol reassures Maggie her baby will be successful and healthy. I don't know, Carol, that face you're making tells me otherwise.
If the cards didn't answer you, why worry so much?
If you ask the cards about the future and don't get any answer, it means there is no future for the person.
Ah, damn, nice foreshadowing. Before arriving to the island, Carol gives a warning to Alan to turn back and to have never brought Julie in the first place. Alan relays the message to Julie, but Julie seems unfazed. They make it to the island, and Maggie sprained her ankle. I don't have a good feeling about this. The gang find the village vacant. Everyone splits up in hopes of finding just one person. Carol and Alan make it to the general store, also vacant, with the telegram machine busted. At least the logs tell us that the last message went out about a month ago. Carol and Dan see a woman peeping out a window. They go to investigate to find "Go away" written on the window. Switching back to Maggie and the boat captain, they're both terrorized by the unseen assailant. Maggie is then dragged away. The group arrive back to the pier only to find the boat adrift. Ernie freaks out and worried about his wife, but there's nothing he can do, and with night approaching, they head back to the village to take shelter, and hopefully run into the woman in black. At supper, Carol starts laying into her esoteric theory. They should have never come to the island. Alan, in true big bro fashion, tells her,
Shut up, Carol.
Tensions are obviously high. Everyone sleeps in the living room for safety, everyone except Julie. She's on patrol. Investigating a strange sound, she runs into Dan, who also heard the strange noise. They come across a culprit, a kitty on the piano. Oh, thank God, I thought it was going to be something terrifying. Oh, it's the little girl Rita, the one Julie's supposed to be taking care of. After the fiasco, Alan questions Rita about what's going on. She doesn't know who it is exactly, but she knows it's a man that reeks of blood. Sometime later on, Ernie and Alan head to the store to grab supplies and call for help. Dan, in true scumbag fashion, waits for Carol to fall asleep to make a move on the frightened Julie. He tries his best, but Julie really isn't interested, but still makes a move. Too bad Carol gets there. She curses out Julie for ever getting them involved. Carol runs away. Julie chases after her. She is eventually locked inside the cemetery. But again, she's a smart cookie. Bam, you see, Alan and Ernie. However, Dan and Rita are not so lucky. Rita alerts that she can smell the man nearby. Dan closes the door. Big mistake, bud. Rita is then attacked. Dan goes in for the save but can't do much in his weakened state, so he gets bitten in the neck. Rip Dan, you scumbag. The trio arrive too late. In the morning, they get to moving. They get to this nice looking villa. Julie fills us in. Klaus Welton and his family disappeared when they were shipwrecked, leaving only his sister, who went insane. Speaking of his sister, she's looking at him through the window, with a rope in her hand. Uh-oh. The group enter the villa, calling out for Carol when they get jump scared. Ernie cuts the rope from upstairs. He also finds Carol, who is okay. With more luck, the boat drifts closer to shore. Ernie and Alan make their way to the boat. They split up. Ernie finds Maggie's shoe. He follows the steps up to a demolished church. He makes his way into the crypt, traveling deeper down. He discovers the bodies of previous victims. He finds Maggie at the very far end of the crypt. They begin to make their way out when Klaus arrives, moving like Jason Voorhees, quiet, calm, bloodlusted. So let's quickly flash back to the day he and his family were shipwrecked. Klaus is starving, craving the flesh of his boy, but his wife pleads him to get away. In the struggle, he stabs his wife, killing her. We snap back to reality and takes the knife from Ernie, stabbing him. He turns his attention to Maggie, who's struggling to get away. Finally, we've arrived to the most controversial part of the movie. Brace yourselves. All Ernie can do is watch as Klaus strangles his wife and rips out the unborn baby, taking a nice chunk out. Jesus fucking Christ.
We'll be right back.
Ernie is also killed off screen. So, at the villa, Julie discovers a room hidden behind a mirror where the rest of the victims are rotting. She discovers the sister's diary. It's a little burnt, but it tells a few clues to Claude's whereabouts. Carol pulls up with her neck slit. Rip. Julie runs to Rita's side to make a run for it, but Klaus is right behind them. They run and barricade themselves in the attic. Klaus walks away, seemingly giving up. Psych, you all thought. Rita unfortunately bites the dust. Julie, armed with a pickaxe, stands outside, ready to run the ones, when Klaus comes out of nowhere, trapping Julie in the well. He climbs his way up slowly to his prey, practically savoring the moment. Julie climbs out to safety, but Klaus isn't ready to let go. That's when Ellen with the clutch save, bringing us to the second infamous part of the movie. Klaus chews at his organs before collapsing. The end. A gruesome ending to an otherwise mundane movie. I won't sugarcoat it, guys. I found this movie extremely boring the first time I watched it. After watching it a couple of times, it grew on me a little bit more, but still, I find it a tad bit boring. Let's check out the behind the scenes of the movie. It was roughly filmed in 2 months. While the movie supposedly takes place in Greece, the majority of the movie was actually shot in Italy. The only part of the movie that was filmed in Greece was the very beginning when we see Alan driving around to pick up the gang. After the release, D'Amato and fellow collaborator Ernesto Berberici would argue about who exactly did the cinematography. Well, whoever did it, they did an incredible job, with an unexpected success with critics and fans. And boy, would you believe it, the critics and I agree for once. DVD Verdict is quoted as saying, Antropophagous is the most notable horror effect by Euroskin and Sin Maestro Joe D'Amato. But that doesn't mean that it's a particularly good film, end quote. Here on this YouTube channel though, I give it a 7 out of 10, a spectacle for its gore and shock, but a snore in the story department. But what were my favorite and least favorite parts of the movie? My least favorite part of the movie was Tisa Farrow's performance. I feel like as if though they didn't really give her a lot to work off of in this one, which is a shame because she does a great job in Lucio Fulci's Zombie or Zombie 2 depending where you are in the world. My favorite part of the movie is the ending when they pickaxe Klaus a question, eating his own guts. I don't know, maybe there's something poetic in that. Can we heal and properly deal with our traumas, or will we let it hurt the people around us or eventually consume us?
Look at it closely. Look at it closely.
I hope everyone enjoyed today's video. Let's keep up the spooky vibes going. Let me know what movies you guys want me to check out. Make sure you guys go ahead and like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on next week's video where we travel to Great Britain to hang out with some sexy vampires.